1 second into the video and I'm already spilling my coffee. To count calories or to not count calories? That is the question that I get asked a lot as a dietitian. And my answer to this question of whether or not you should personally count calories may actually surprise you. Now, disclaimer, I got into nutrition after struggling with my own relationship with food as a teenager. I personally went from wanting to lose a few pounds, wanting to be a little bit healthier, and that spiraled into a little bit of an extreme behavior with food, which further spiraled into an eating disorder. So my opinion on calorie counting, personally for me, is that it's not good for a lot of people in the long term. But I know everyone's experience is not exactly identical to my own, and that some people really do benefit from calorie counting, at least in the short term. So today I'm going to share with you 3 pros and 3 cons to calorie counting that may help you decide whether or not it's right for you. Make sure if you make a decision by the end of this video to let us know in the comment section below, is calorie counting something that you plan to do, and maybe for how long, and is it not good for you? I'd really love to hear your own personal experience because, again, I think it's different for everyone and not everyone's answer is going to be exactly the same. All right, so let's get into it. Since I'm starting off with a little bit of a biases here, let's start with the pros and then we'll move on to the cons and why I don't think it's personally for everyone. Number 1, it's data. Data can be a good thing for holding on to and staying true to goals long term, like maybe slow and gradual weight loss, or just getting healthier overall, making sure that you're having balanced portions and different varieties of food throughout each and every meal. Self-monitoring is notoriously good in the research studies for weight management and keeping the weight off long term. So again, that can be a really big positive for some. Plus, it can be motivational to see yourself win in real time. So if you're doing well, then self-monitoring is a pro, right? Because, it makes you want to stick to it and it makes you feel motivated. Just like when you track your budget, you're more likely to stick to it. When you track your calories, you're more likely to kind of stay closely in line with that number. I could jump into a con with that right now, but I'll try to hold off. Pro number 2 is that it gives you a starting point, especially if you're someone who didn't really grow up with a whole lot of positive influences around food, or you really just don't know anything about health and nutrition starting off. This can be a good thing because then you get like a baseline for where you're supposed to be with your carbs, your protein, your fat, and what an actual portion size looks like. If you don't have any of that knowledge, it can lead to unintentional overeating because you, again, just don't know where to begin. So I think we put a lot of shame around calorie counting sometimes. It's just a totally bad thing, but I think we forget that some folks really do just, even for a couple days, need to learn like what is in a food, what is in a banana, and what does a piece of chicken offer me? What does butter offer me? What does this protein bar, snack bar have in it? And how does that weigh into the decisions that I make the rest of the day? And how does that weigh into how I feel energy-wise throughout the day? I think there's a really big positive to just getting that baseline knowledge of what's in a food and how it affects you, even if it's in, again, the short term. Pro number 3, I think all of this data and calorie counting can be a positive for those who don't have an emotional attachment to food. So maybe this is not so much of a pro, but just like a disclaimer of who I find works better with calorie counting versus who doesn't. Some of us, I get it, are just not prone to having an emotional reaction to food. They can track all day long and honestly just view it as objective fact and not get emotional about it. I am not that person. Obviously. I'm an INFJ and a HSP, so highly sensitive person, and I just find that like I get emotionally attached to a rock on the side of the road. So I am not very good at things like taking the emotions out of the calorie counting experience. So I'll give you an example of recently, actually, because I wanted to get into, or not get into, but I wanted to calorie count for even just a few days out of the week, a couple times, to see where I landed, because I was really feeling fatigued with my postpartum journey. Right now I'm actually pregnant and breastfeeding, 12, 13 months postpartum. So it is a lot of energy on my body. It's a lot of energy requirements for my body. And I also am active. So I just felt like I wasn't getting in enough calories, and I wanted to see that objective data. But when I got into it, I was just so like, without even meaning to, noticing myself getting hard on myself already, or noticing myself lowering some of my portions when I probably didn't need to. Again, I was logging my calories so that I could make sure that I'm eating enough calories, so more calories, but I was actually finding myself being restrictive as a result of tracking. So I think that's one of those things where you just have to listen to your intuition with it. And if it feels good, it feels good. And if it doesn't, listen to that gut feeling and don't try to push it away and say, oh, calorie counting is healthy, so I must do it. Listen to that gut reaction, because it's definitely telling you something about whether or not you're an emotionally attached type to calories or not. And another way you can track this too, is something that I feel comes up quite a bit with clients that I've worked with, is, do you get like a visceral reaction when you go over your calories, or even when you go under your calories? I've had some clients that I've worked with in the past that freak out over going 15 calories over their budget. That is just a very ridiculously small amount to go over calories. And calories are really imperfect when you track them anyway. So you might not have even gone over 15 calories. And that is worrisome to me if that small number going over is a big concern for you, because that again makes me feel like potentially this could be a bad thing for you long term. Calorie counting is best for the people that think about this very logically and they are unfazed when they go over and they know it's just simply a number. Again, I am not trying to diss anyone who feels an emotional reaction when they go over by 15 calories. Again, I am the type of person that back in the day, that was me. And I guess apparently still me if I try to calorie count now. So just listen to your gut, and it is telling you if it's right for you or not. All right, if you're enjoying this video so far, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you are interested in more videos like this one. I talk a lot about blood sugar management, PCOS, and having a healthy relationship with food. So if you want to watch more videos like this one, then I'd love to have you on the channel. We also have been doing more workout videos on here recently, so let me know if that's something that you enjoy too, because I am a dietitian and personal trainer, so I'm trying to do a little bit of mix of both because that's just what I find to be the most fun. So definitely let me know what your thoughts are on that. Also, question of the day, let us know below. So far, based on the pros, what do you think? Is calorie counting something that you feel like is right for you? Again, gut and visceral reaction, or do you feel like it's something that's going to lead to more problems? If you don't know your answer yet, hold tight and we'll talk about the cons so you can really solidify if this is a good choice for you. And one last thing before we head into the cons of calorie counting is I have a few programs that I have coming up very soon that I plan to get out before baby number 2 comes, and I'm really excited about them. So if you are someone who struggles with reactive hypoglycemia, I have a workshop that I'm currently building that is directly for you. So make sure to sign up for the waitlist below. And if you have PCOS and want to learn how to manage your symptoms without restrictive dieting, then I also have a full-length program for you that is coming out in the coming months. I'll be releasing more information about that soon, but I have some free supplement guides and free meal plans for you if you're interested in joining that wait list. Again, I am really excited about creating a new program. It's been a long time since I have. The first program I ever created was the Mindful Muscles Academy, which is still available now. I'll probably put it in the description with a discount on it. Since I have been more in the niche focus of blood sugar management, I thought that I might as well create a course that is more catered to that so that my new audience coming in can make sure to take advantage and still get nutrition advice and support from me without having to do all these one-on-ones because let's be real, as a mom of almost two, mom of one right now, but soon to be mom of two next year, I am trying to focus on how I can offer as much value to you guys as possible without spending all my time in one-on-one calls. I still take one-on-one clients occasionally. I'm not taking new ones now, but that's just my life update for now. We can talk about it more in another video. Without further ado, let's get back into the cons of calorie counting. Con number one is calorie counting can definitely give you a preoccupation with the wrong kind of numbers. So not to say that calories don't matter, because in the grand scheme of things, of course, if you have more calories than your body needs, you will gain weight and potentially that can lead to other health issues. And if you have too little calories, that can also lead to health issues and disordered eating. And that can be even more dangerous than going over your calories, is going under, especially chronically and in an extreme way. I find it puts a lot more focus on just the calories and that number alone of like energy in, energy out versus the actual nutritional value of the foods that you're eating, which ultimately that's what matters the most. Your body kind of has this intuition of what kind of balance it is craving of carbs, fat, and protein. You honoring it and just making sure you're getting in whole foods as often as possible and a variety is the most important thing, at least in my opinion as a dietitian. Calorie counting apps are also very notorious for lowballing your calorie needs. So for example, one app that I recently used for this, I even had an option for putting that I was breastfeeding and that I wasn't trying to lose weight. I was just trying to maintain. And I think I put like gain strength or something like that. Like it gives you options. It gave me a calorie estimate of 1,700 calories, and I will tell you right now, that is definitely not my calorie needs. I haven't calculated my exact needs, but I kind of know where my baseline is, which is usually about 2,100, and breastfeeding, you usually need 500 more calories. And I'm also in my second trimester of pregnancy, like the first part of the second trimester of pregnancy. So I'm like, sister, that is not the right amount. I am not listening to this number. And I find that's true even if you're not breastfeeding. I see so many clients of mine use these apps and they estimate 1,600 or 1,400 or 1,500. And that is just not even close to the amount that most women or men need who are physically active or even sedentary. It's not enough. So you're gonna end up obsessing over a number that is literally not even anywhere near correct for you and not on your nutrition, which again, I feel is the opposite of what you should be focusing on. Con number two, it is time consuming AF. Like, calorie counting takes so much time. That's another reason that I was really struggling when I was trying to do that calorie counting recently to figure out my needs for breastfeeding. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much time this takes. And especially as a business owner and, you know, an active mom and a mom who stays at home with their little one as well. So I'm doing working and staying at home. I don't have time for using calorie counting apps to just track everything. I know that like sometimes they have features where you can use the same meal that you've tracked before, and that definitely helps, especially if you eat similar things day to day. So maybe that's not a problem for everybody, but if you eat different things frequently, it is just mind-bogglingly time consuming. I feel like it took upwards of 1 to 2 hours total out of my whole day on the days where I actually did track, maybe closer to an hour, but still that is a lot of time for me personally, because I try to use every single minute as much as possible to put it towards something that actually matters. I mean, so does most people probably try that, but like, especially as a new mom, I'm like, trying to be as productive as possible, it's just not going to work for me. You could use that time so much more productively, 1 to 2 hours a day, meal prepping, exercising, going on a walk, just practicing whatever self-care you want to, meditating. I don't care. You can use even 15, 20 minutes of that time to do something way more productive. And I think your health would improve more from that change than from the calorie counting alone. And con number 3, I think we were almost going to talk about it earlier, and I tried not to get into it proactively or too soon. But calorie counting is not necessarily that accurate. Food labels have to be within 20% accuracy, meaning they can be up to 20% incorrect on the energy that they estimate is in the food. That's not to say it doesn't make any difference at all, everything that you read is just completely incorrect, but it's just to say that it is just an estimate of what is in our food. It's not exact usually. And things for example, an apple is what pops into my head, 80 calories. But you could have an apple I have apples that are this big right now, the Gala apples, and then I have giant Honeycrisp apples that are literally the size of my clawed hand, and they're huge, and there's no way that they're 80 calories. But that's just an example of one thing that it's even if you try to estimate every little thing that you have, it still could be incorrect. So again, you could be spending all this time on obsessing over a number that's not even accurate. And don't even get me started on using a food scale. Yes, I know that you can use a food scale to have your food be a little more accurate in the calorie department, but I honestly think that the food scale is taking it a little too far for most, unless you're baking, and that's what you need to bake the recipe exactly and perfectly. I don't think food scales should be used by the average person. I just don't think it is psychologically very helpful, and I think it's very troubling when I see people weighing spinach and things like that to make sure that they're getting the exact amount. It's oh, life is so much more than weighing your spinach. Not to be judgmental. I'm really not trying to be judgmental here. I'm just trying to look out for you. Trust me, there's better things that you could be spending your time on than weighing things like that. So as you can see, it's not all black and white. And sure, I consider myself a non-diet dietitian, so I don't recommend calorie counting long-term for really anyone, but it can be good in the short term for certain folks, as hopefully you've recognized in this video. If you're interested in learning my alternative to calorie counting, then I will send you over to my next video that I'm about to make about photo food logging. I think that this can be a lot better of an option for those who want a little bit of flexible structure and they want to pay more attention to the nutritional value of their foods without hyperfixating on the calories. So head on over to that video if you're interested, and thanks so much for joining me for this one. Don't forget to check out the description for the waitlist to both of my new programs coming up very soon. Again, I'm so excited to see you guys join and be a part of them and to launch them for you very soon. So check those out, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.